As you guys can probably tell, today we're getting some things welded up, including the Polo pedal box. In the previous video we found out that the clutch part of this bracket snapped off. In factory there's only about 2 spot welds, so we threw a couple more welds on that thing. So hopefully that doesn't break again. And currently he's working on getting the downpipe done so we don't have any more clearance issues. So I'm really excited about that, so we can finally get these cars back together. I want to get the daily back up and running again. And yeah, so I'll pick up when we're back at the shed. Alrighty guys, we are back at the shed, and before we can go ahead and do the exciting stuff on the S3, getting it back together and also installing the freshly done downpipe, we gotta get the pedal box back onto the Polo. We gotta get that thing back up to daily duties again. So before we waste any more time, let's get to it. I also picked up today the little clip that we need for the back of the pedal on the brake pedal. We had to break off the old one because these things are not really designed to come back off once they're on. So this will be the last thing I clip on. Once everything's back together, we'll do it. But I'm definitely not putting it on first because I don't want to have to order a new one of these because they weren't cheap. This little plastic clip from VW costs about $80. Anyways, got to get this thing back together. So we'll start by getting the bracket first in, and then we can hook up the rest of the pedals. We'll see how this goes, Well, to say the least, you really need to finesse this thing in. I actually did end up disconnecting the bottom of the steering column. Really had to disconnect this. There's like 2 joints on the back of this, so that's disconnected. I ended up locking the steering wheel so that doesn't move, otherwise you can break the clock spring if you're spinning it without it connected up. So yeah, really had to finesse it in there. The bracket is sort of in there. I still need to align it back up and get the brake master cylinder back down the center of it, and then we can bolt it back on and get all the other pedals on, which is not going to be fun. But I know when you guys are watching this, it's probably only been a couple of seconds, but I've been here for the past couple, maybe an hour and a half, trying to get this thing back in. Alrighty. Got a few 13 mils that we need to get in, and then I'll probably try getting the brake pedal in next, which probably won't be too great, but we'll get that in. And we got our new clip to go into the back of this pedal, so we got to clip that in. There's this little metal cap as well that sort of needs to clip onto this, so we'll get that on, and then yeah, just force it in there, get it back in. Hopefully we can get this car running so we can work on the S3 again, because I'd much rather work on the S3 and get that downpipe back in than be working with this again. Alrighty, so I've got my throttle pedal back on. It had just disconnected from the top. The spring and the cable sort of stay as one piece. So that's good, I didn't have to go looking for that. And there's just one bolt that goes on the back of that. But I think I might try to get the brake pedal on first, which isn't gonna be too great. There's like this sort of little spring right here, this little hook that needs to go through a little square hole that's on the back right over here. I don't know if you can really see that, but there's this sort of bracket here behind the steering column that this sort of sits inside. And there's this little plastic part that goes right here. Alrighty, so I've got in majority of the pedals back together. I still need to bolt up the steering column again, and I have the throttle pedal lined up, just need to bolt it back up again. And then we got the clutch pedal that can finally go on, but I do need to put a couple more bolts onto the bracket again, hoping it all goes smoothly. But once this is done, we can get onto the S3 and get the downpipe connected back up. There we go. Alrighty, washer and then the nut, and then we can bolt that up. There we go, that's on. We'll just have to tighten that up later. So we've got majority of the stuff back together. Now, the only issue really that I've come past is that one, this won't really go back onto the brake pedal quite properly. And two, that $80 piece of plastic, like this one, which is the last thing that really you want to clip in out of all these things. You really, all you need to do is, once you clip it into the back of the pedal, you line up the ball joint and then press down the brake pedal. Only issue is that one of the sides that sort of holds in that ball just snapped off. All I did is just push it on as you're supposed to and just broke off. So only one side of that is holding onto the brake pedal. It works, but I'm worried that that might cause me some issues later down the track. But you know, I just need to get this thing back together really. Everything else is pretty much set. The throttle is working, the clutch is working, the brakes are working, and the steering is working. So I need to get pretty much everything back together. I didn't really think that something like this would break. I know it's a common issue on the S3, but I never really thought about it on the Polo. Part of the fun, right? Alrighty, so before we go ahead and take this thing for a test drive, I've just noticed that our brake booster lines are pretty well gone. This side's cracked and also that side's cracked. So we'll go ahead and swap this out. I have some leftover hose that I had from the S3, from the brake booster line that we swapped out on that. So we'll go ahead and swap this out. Okay, and if you're going to be doing this on your car, just remember that the check valve needs to be facing the right way. There's a little marking that says motor and points that should go towards the motor, not towards the brake booster. If you put that the wrong way, your motor isn't going to be happy and it isn't going to run right. But now that we've done that, we can put this intake box on now, screw it on, get the filter back in, and we can take this thing for a test drive. Clutch pedal works, brakes and throttle, that's all good. Actually ended up filming yesterday, but after that brake booster hose clip, I ended up spending a full other day working on this thing, getting frustrated as all heck on this thing. I really hope I don't ever have to do this again, because I'm telling you guys right now, I would rather be doing that downpipe that I said that sucked. I'd rather do that downpipe another 10 times than do this pedal box again. It was horrible, horrible. But anyways, it's now back together. We gotta get the rest of the dash back on. But I mean, that's job done. We can finally get this downpipe back in on the S3. So let's go do that. Alrighty guys, we have the downpipe ready to go into the S3. This is all clearance, ready to go back in. We did end up going down to a 2.5 instead of the 3 that it was before. Right here, it was rubbing against the chassis. So now that we have this step down, it should clear, and this should also clear the tail shaft. So let's get this thing back in and start this baby up. Oh, I got it. I did that. I did that. Hell yeah. So when I go to bolt this on, I'm worried that it's gonna start rubbing here. But if that's exactly how it's gonna sit, it might just clear. Again, it's gonna have to move up a little bit right here. I don't know, we'll bolt it on and then we'll have a look. And then if we need to, we'll take it back off and we'll smash that part in so it doesn't rub, because I really don't like we took this whole thing apart so it doesn't rub anymore. Alright, so we've got the downpipe connected up. It's looking really good. We've got some new nuts to go on as well. These are the old ones and the new ones. So we'll go ahead and throw those on. Now, I know that it's going to take some time to wind those on, but I guess we'll see how it goes. And then once that's bolted up, we can see our clearance on the car before we go any further, because if it's not going to clear, I might as well take it back off and do it again, or smash it in with a hammer. But yeah, I mean, we're getting close. That downpipe was actually pretty easy to get back in once the subframe is already lowered. So I don't know, let's get these on. Put that other middle section on and start this thing up, and then we can see for any exhaust leaks or clearance issues. Yeah.
Alright, what are we doing here?
I'm trying to get this goddamn stancher on the goddamn motor, and it's not going on. So I'm trying to.
The defibrillator ain't working.
No, but trying to get the lambda sensor onto the back of the manifold using a goddamn shifter, because I don't have the freaking 21 that the actual thing is. So the downpipe bolts actually weren't too bad to get on, to be honest. They were a pain to get off, but I think with the right tools, it's not too bad. Anyways, we get this on, plug it in, get the subframe mounted up, and then we'll start her up and see what she sounds like, you know. Teamwork, yeah? Yeah, buddy!
Teamwork, I put my foot on here and it all lines up.
It's definitely not lining up.
It is!
No, now it is. I think we need to push it up.
Oh, do you want to go for jack then?
Jack it up. Wind this boy by hand. You do not want to strip the chassis. I can tell you right now, that is the last thing you want to do. Alrighty, that's good. Alright, jack it back down. Alright, these bolts should line up pretty easily. Alrighty, I just wound that all in by hand. That's good. If you can wind it in all in by hand, that means the threads are nice and clean, and there's not going to be any stripping of threads, which is very good. Anyways, I'm going to do this side now. Alrighty, so now we're just going to torque these boys up. So, to about, that's good Newton meters. Alrighty, and then we'll get this one about to that's good. That's good. Alrighty, and then we'll get the other two bolts done. That's good. And then we can get our dog bone. Oh, bro. It's just moving the motor. You see how much the downpipe's moving? So probably mount this up and see our clearance. Probably should have done that before, to be honest. Can you just check there when I move the engine?
Yep.
Hey? Is it rubbing?
No.
No?
No, you're good.
Got like an inch?
About half an inch.
Can you see it past it?
Yeah.
I think we're good. I think we're good, boys. I think we're good. Yeah, we can pretty much start this thing up, hey?
Yeah.
Hasn't been started up for a week or week and a half, maybe two. I don't know. It's been a while. I miss it. Okay, so the S3 downpipe is finally back in. Sadly, Harley had to go back home, but we'll go ahead and fit up this middle section back onto the S3, get it onto the ground, and take it for a test drive. So let's get this thing back together, and we can finally see if this thing is scraping anymore. Ah, oh, damn it. I forgot the gasket, goddamn. Nice and tight. Normally we'd have this rubber mount, which I'm going to put on, although it's cut up. That'll hold it a little bit, not a lot, but enough. And then I'm just going to get this middle section back together. Okay, so now the S3 is back together, and before we go ahead and throw it back onto the ground, I thought I'd try something out. Apparently, whilst the car is jacked up and you start it up and throw it into second gear, it'll think that it's actually breaking traction and kick in the rear diff. So let's start this thing up and see if the Haldex actually kicks in. Not gonna lie, this is a little bit sketchy whilst it's on jack stands, but it's on. Well, I'm not too sure if that's actually just a myth or not, but my Haldex definitely didn't kick in at all, and the rears didn't move a smidge. But what did move is the heat shield. The heat shield is actually rubbing on the tail shaft now, so I'm gonna have to get a little screw to hold that up or find whatever it is that rubbing, and then we can go ahead and take this thing for a drive. I'm pretty sure the heat shield is just loose, and I forgot to put a little screw onto it to hold it up. So that's my bad. Let's get this thing fixed up and back on the ground. Seems to be running pretty smooth. I don't hear any scraping noises. It sounds pretty good. Usually on idle it even scrape on the tail shaft or even just on the chassis, which was pretty annoying. So I don't hear any of that. So it's pretty good. We'll go ahead and take this thing for a test drive. To say the least, the car is driving absolutely amazing. It's so good to feel this car without that scraping against the tail shaft and against the chassis. It's really good, nice and quiet inside the cabin. But in the next video, we'll be changing that because we're going to be doing a full exhaust system on this thing. But anyways, let's head back to the shed. Well, we're back at the shed, and I can't even explain how happy I am with this S3. I love this thing so much. And when I got it, it was riddled with issues. Like, I mean, we were talking about boost issues, overfueling, the all-wheel drive system wasn't working, the exhaust was scraping. There's a bunch of issues that this car had when I bought it. And I mean, I bought it for about $4.5 grand, so it is very cheap for what it was. And I've been able to turn this thing back around and make it an absolute driving machine. I love driving this car so much. And I can't wait to do a full exhaust system on this car in the next video. So if you want to see that, subscribe down below. And as always, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.